Heels take the best punch a desperate Virginia Tech team can give to them. Heels handle it and send them back packing to Blacksburg. Oh, and by the way, apparently the free throw gods heard Hubert Davis's prayers and answered them. Thank goodness.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy Saturday. It's February 28th, 2026. Wow, the last day of the month, and boy, has it been a good February for the Tar Heels. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day, all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thanks so much, as always, for making us your first listener watch. I want to give a shout out to all our everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course our insiders as well. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, who is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. You guys, North Carolina beats Virginia Tech 89-82. They moved their record to 23-6 overall on the season. 11-5 in ACC play. They've won 3 straight and 9 of 11. They stay undefeated at home, 17-0, could run it all the way to 18 with a win Tuesday night against Clemson. Interestingly enough, the Heels drop a spot at KenPom. They were 27th coming in. They fall to 28th. So there's that. The offensive efficiency moves from 32nd up to 30th, and defense stays at 39th. All of this comes together to make this a party. It is not a therapy session. Thank goodness. Let me give you a little postseason update stuff. ACC standings update. I'm sure I don't have to break this news to you because I'm sure you were watching and laughing right along with me earlier in the day as the luck of the Irish, as Notre Dame hooked us up, beating NC State up there in South Bend. Cole Serta went off in overtime. It was crazy stuff. Like NC State was up like 7 with 3 to go or something like that and couldn't get it done. Consequently, Carolina and Clemson now tied for 4th in the ACC standings at 11-5. I think that means NC State, is 1 game back at 10-6. Yeah, that's exactly what that means. Miami won earlier in the day, so they're still ahead of both teams by 1 game, 12-4. And so, man, crazy matchup Tuesday night, right? That's going to be essentially for 4th place in the ACC. We'll go see how it goes. Plus the tiebreaker, man, all important there. Can't wait for that, but had to get this one to make that one matter, and that's incredible. All right, how about some NCAA tournament look ahead? I feel my temperature rising. You guys know I don't get worked up. I don't get agitated too much. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. Glass half full. Oh, isn't life daisies and roses and all that kind of stuff? But sometimes it doesn't go that way, and I fear it's about to be one of those moments. I feel it already. Go with me on this. Earlier in the day, the country's most prominent bracketologist, Joe Lunardi, had North Carolina as the 4th of the 5 seeds. Ahead of Carolina in those of those 5 seeds was Arkansas, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. You know what happened to those teams? The 3 teams directly ahead of Carolina, all SEC teams, by the way. Here we go again with that crap. Arkansas got obliterated by Florida as the Carolina game was going. I mean, it was like 115-70 something. It was insane. Tennessee lost at home to Alabama. Vanderbilt lost on the road at Kentucky pretty handily. And, the team that was the last 4 seed, you know who that is? That's Virginia. What did they do? Also got obliterated today at Duke. And let's remember that Carolina did exactly what to Virginia? Oh, that's right. Beat them in Charlottesville. So you would expect with all that Carolina moves up a couple slots, maybe, to the top 5 seed or the second 5 seed. I don't know, maybe slides all the way up to a 4 seed because all 4 of those teams lost. And Carolina's resume is very similar to theirs. I got to get into it and see. So you look at Joe Lunardi's bracketology update right after, and what do you expect to see? Carolina moving up? Exactly not what happened. Instead, Carolina apparently drops back to a 6 seed because Lunardi keeps all 4 of those teams that lost in place and moves St. John's up, same St. John's team that just got embarrassed earlier in the week at UConn. And sure, they beat Villanova today, but Villanova sucks. What are we doing? Joe, like, my hope is that Joe Lunardi just hasn't done all his Saturday evening work yet. My hope is that he overlooked something, because surely this egregiousness of moving Carolina back down can't have happened. You've got to be freaking kidding me. Got it. I see where we're at. All right. I expect to see a printed retraction ASAP, right? Come on. What are we talking about? Okay. Let's actually get into the game. Happy things. We knew this game would not be easy. Virginia Tech is fighting tooth and nail for their tournament lives. They don't have a win nearly close to as quality as this game. And so desperation mode for Virginia Tech. On yesterday's show, I had asked the question, is Carolina ready to match the desperation that Virginia Tech brings to the Dean Dome? Because remember, down in Miami, Carolina was not ready to match that desperation. And Miami at that point was very much on the bubble and on the wrong side of it. Now they're in good shape. They're going to get the 3 seed in the ACC tournament, for crying out loud. Of course, some of that is they don't have to play Duke. So there's that. But Carolina takes this shot from Virginia Tech, their very best shot. I mean, they're knocking down shots at halftime. These teams are tied at 44. Both teams are shooting over 50%. It's clear and obvious that Virginia Tech is just playing with abandon. And Carolina keeps trying to push it out. They get to 8-point leads multiple times in each half, and just Virginia Tech just keeps reeling them back on in. Finally, with about 6-7 minutes to go, Carolina gets it out to a double-digit lead, 10 and 11, and then Virginia Tech slides it back down into single digits, and it just kind of lives in that 7, 8, 9 range. The rest of the game is the team. Like, Carolina was very content to just run Virginia Tech off the 3-point line, make them sit with layups. And so that was great. Like, great switching, not letting, I think Abdallas got one off. That's fine, whatever. A couple bad looks at 3, like Lawal airballed one. Really, really good stuff there. So all of that, I look, yes, it was a 7-point win. I had predicted like a 12-point win, something like that. But you tell me this, you know how it gets when a team is absolutely fighting for their life. You take that punch and you push it back and you say, not today, Satan, get out of here. That's what Carolina just did. And now, because of that, with what NC State did, man, it sets up all sorts of great stuff ahead of you, but you got to take care of business now against Clemson. We'll get to that. What I loved about this effort is it was a completely balanced effort from North Carolina. Now, it was kind of similar to Monday night against Louisville, where, yeah, Seth had 30, but a bunch of dudes chipped in. Same thing tonight. 3 different Tar Heels had 15 or more points, led by Henri Veesaar, with Seth also getting to 20. I can't talk, apparently. Great stuff. And not only did 3 players get to 15 or more, but 9 total Tar Heels played and 8 of them scored. The only one that didn't was Zayden Young, who played a grand total of 4 minutes, I think. Yeah. And so, okay, I get that. Really, really good. I love that balanced approach. And especially when, hey, look, without Caleb, you still just don't know. But here's the good news. North Carolina is now 4-1 without Caleb Wilson. If you had told me that the Tar Heels would be 4-1 without Caleb Wilson, I would have laughed at you. I am so proud of this team's grit and tenacity and ability to keep pushing forward and find new things to do. So, and not only did 8 of 9 players score, but man, kudos to Hubert Davis for trusting his guys, because outside of Zayden Young, who I just said played 4 minutes, the other 8 players that played all played at least 17 minutes. Man, really, really interesting stuff there. And there's a couple guys I want to highlight. I want to highlight each of the 3 guys that were up to 15 plus, as well as Zayden High. Jonathan Powell, we got to start there. I know it's Henry and it's Seth that got to 20, but Jonathan Powell was the engine that kept Carolina going in the first half. This version of Jonathan Powell, who looked confident, who was stepping into threes, had 12 points in the first half. That led the Heels. He was aggressive, doing what he needed to do defensively. Finishes, just gets 3 more points, had another key 3, by the way, in the second half, finished with 15, but it was so efficient, 4 of 5. He was 3 of 5 at the free throw line. That was actually where he started. He got fouled on a 3 in the corner. I think that was by Hansberry. That was his second foul. We'll talk about that more in a second. And then had another play where he had a great pump fake, got the defender way up in the air, drove and drew a foul, made 1 of 2. Did he chip anything? Yeah, holy cow. JP, 5 rebounds, an assist, no turnover, and a steal as well. Really, really good. Like, again, if you're getting those contributions off the bench, holding water till Caleb gets back, like at this point, you can't just say you're holding water. Carolina, I said it the other day, not just surviving, they are now thriving. Really impressed by what they were able to do. But then we do have to go, of course, to Henri Veesaar and Seth Trimble. Virginia Tech came in. It was one of those teams where, similar to a couple other front courts Carolina has played, it is a front court that Henry is certainly taller than, but gives up some weight to. Hansberry's bigger than he is. But Henry was able to use his height in this game. He knocked down 2 different threes, if I remember correctly. Yep, 2 of 7 from 3. Wow, he took 7 threes. Good grief. Outside of his threes, he was 9 of 13 from the field. Really good, just going over the top, multiple post moves. Really, really good stuff from Henry. 26 points to tie his career high. Would have set a new career high if he had hit that second free throw. It just barely spun out right there at the end with 21 seconds left. 7 rebounds. Good to see him get back in that career. Remember, he struggled against Louisville, didn't do much. 2 assists, no turnovers from Henri Veesaar. Yeah, come on with that. A block and a steal in 33 minutes. That line, unreal. I will take that every day of the week. Thank you, Henri Veesaar. You are doing what you need to do to help this Carolina team move forward. Now, I also want to talk about Seth Trimble because he took what he has done those last 3 halves of basketball, that aggressiveness, and he keeps doing it. I want to talk about that, and then we'll get to Zayden high in the bench as well. All coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about 5 Hour Energy. Welcome into the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which might be sleepers that you need to check out as well. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. And oh, by the way, one of the things I love about 5 Hour Energy as a 42-year-old who doesn't have the same metabolism as I used to, I love that you get the boost from 5 Hour Energy with 0 sugar. Awesome. Thank you. I love it. All right. My number 1 draft pick, my favorite flavor, strawberry banana. I know that might be like simplistic or simple or whatever of me, but my whole life, I have loved smoothies, milkshakes, whatever that are strawberry banana. And so I love this, man. The great strawberry taste, the great banana taste on the back end of it. So good. But my underrated pick, my sleeper pick, Georgia boy here, I love peach. I love going to the islands with my family. I love the mango. Give me that peach mango combo. That is my sleeper. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots right now. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or over at our friends at Amazon. All right, we got the box score coming up for those of you watching in real time. For those of you listening or watching back later, shouts to all of you guys. So glad you're here. Make sure you check out our brand new Everydayers Club. That link is down in the show notes. All right, let's get to Seth Trimble. Seth comes into this game with this renewed aggression and energy, and I'm turning the corner, getting downhill and looking to score. That's what's in my head. If they crash, cool. I'll drop it off for somebody else. But first and foremost, I am getting to the rim and I am going to score. As a reminder, in the month of February, in the first 11 halves of basketball, so the first 5.5 games, Seth shot 31% and he scored 4.7 points per half. In the last 3 halves of basketball, since that halftime talk from his teammates and coaches against Syracuse, Seth came in shooting 72.7%, 14.3 points a game. Tonight, Seth Trimble goes 7 of 12 to bring his shooting percentage down in that stretch. 20 points, 1 of 1 3. That was right at the beginning of the game. It was a late shot clock 3. He just had to pull it, and it looked beautiful. 5 of 8 at the free throw line. Still kind of struggling there a little bit, but 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, and a steal in 35 minutes. Man, and what I love about those 20 points from Seth is the dude is just attack. And what am I going to do next? Oh my goodness, I'm going to attack some more. And just you cannot stop him. You can either foul him or let him score. Those are your options. And the way he does it with such speed and athleticism, but he's under control. My goodness. And the highlight of the game for me, I mean, one of those wall dunks was crazy. That alley-oop he threw down, sure, maybe. But it was the play where Carolina went up 8 yet again. It made the score 71-63. Seth was trying to fight around a screen defensively, got tripped up by that German kid that came in. I felt like he was like the in high school where there's those big, strong country, but maybe an offensive lineman, but he goes to play basketball as well. He's not really athletic, doesn't know the game that well, and he just like mauls people. I felt like that's what that kid was like. Seth trips over him, fine, whatever. And then who was it? Whomever, Lawal was driving for Virginia Tech. Henry strips him of the ball. By this point, Seth is already back up on his feet and running. Henry pitches ahead to him for a vicious dunk in transition. That was the play of the game. I love it. I love Seth's tenacity because, again, not only is he scoring those 20 points, but he is all over the place defensively. And Carolina as a team, I know allowed, what did Virginia Tech shoot? Exactly 50% for the game. But I felt like Carolina did a pretty good job staying in front of guys. There was a play early in the first half where Bogavac just walled off Avdalas. There was a play. Who was it that Kyan Evans just refused to let get around? Like plays like that were mattered in this basketball game in a big way. So really, really good from Seth yet again. I'm so just proud of him and what he's doing. Next player I got to shout out is Zayden High, because literally all 5 games that Caleb Wilson has been out, Zayden High has done things. Sometimes it's been scoring, like tonight where he got double figures with 12 points, 2 really nice layups, and we'll say how he scored his other 8 points here in just a second. But 5 rebounds, fought for rebounds. I believe he drew 2 of the 5 fouls on Armani Hansberry. Listen to this. Zayden, and I always caveat it, I know plus minus isn't everything, but it's not nothing. Zayden High led Carolina tonight in plus minus. I mean, just the energy with which he's playing, the way the guys feed off of it. You know, Zayden has so often struggled with turnovers and fouls. Let's see how he did there. 0 fouls. Zayden High, my guy. That's incredible stuff. Did have 2 turnovers, but again, 12 points, 5 boards, an assist, and a steal in 21 minutes to lead the team with plus 13. Like the fact that we now trust Zayden High, and especially like on a night where poor Jaron Stevenson was struggling with foul trouble. He was 2 of 3, had 4 points, but that was it. 4 boards, but 0 assists, 4 turnovers for Jaron. Just had a rough night. And if that's happening, Caleb's out, and it's the Zayden that we had seen earlier in the season, Carolina probably doesn't win this basketball game. Like, right? Like that's how thin that line is and how important what Zayden High is doing is. Really good stuff, man. Really proud of just him, just the consistency. I think that's the word with which he's shown up in each of these 5 games that Caleb Wilson has been out. That's part of why I said it earlier. Carolina 4-1 without Caleb. Zayden High is a massive part of the reason why. Luka didn't do as much tonight as he had. I think he got in the doghouse a little bit there in the second half. Let me see how many minutes he played in the second half. 7 minutes, yeah. Both he and Derek, by the way, only 7 minutes in the second half. But other guys had opportunities, right? The 5 leading minutes getters in the second half. Seth with 19. Sat just a little bit before the under 8 timeout. Henry played 17. Kyan played 14. Low-key had a really good game. And then Jonathan Powell played 14. Zayden High and Jaron each played 11. Those were leading minutes guys in the second half of this game. Really interesting stuff there. So Zayden High, great. Drawing 2 of those fouls on Armani Hansberry. And let's not miss that. How critically important it was that Carolina took Virginia Tech's leading scorer and fouled him out. He had he did fine. He had 11 points, 5 of 7, really efficient, but he only got to play 19 minutes of this game. How many more points does he have if he plays 30 minutes instead of 19? That would have put Carolina in some hurting, right? And so, man, I loved it. Really, really good by Carolina to do. I mean, Roy Williams is sitting there just beaming, right? He's got to be, because that's what he wants to see happen. Opposing front courts foul out time after time after time. Next thing we got to talk about is the Carolina bench. 21 points in the first half. They said on the broadcast, Wes Durham said the 21 bench points in the first half is the most Carolina has had from the bench in an entire game, not just a half, in an entire game of the ones that Caleb Wilson has missed. And that's the thing too, because think about it. If Caleb's playing, everyone slides back down one seat on the bench, and sure, the bench is going to score more, but the bench is tightened and shorter with Caleb out. And so 21 in the first half, but Carolina scores 32 from the bench in totality. And you know how I just said Zayden High was number 1 in plus minus? Guess who was number 2? Jonathan Powell. So the 2 leaders in plus minus were guys off the bench. I mean, you love to see this depth. It's so encouraging for March and beyond. If Caleb Wilson can get back, it was nice. He was just in a kind of more standard brace tonight, just one of those black, like kind of lace-up braces. I mean, it's encouraging. He's moving in the right direction. We'll see what happens moving forward. But Carolina, again, holding water in the meantime. How have we gone this long without talking much about the free throws? Praise the good Lord above. The free throw prayers of Hubert Davis have been answered. If you don't know what I'm referencing, Coach Davis was asked after the Louisville game, what do the Tar Heels have to do to shoot better from the free throw line? And Hubert Davis's one-word response, pray. So I've had some fun with that this week, been laughing about it. And here I'll tell you, it looks like the free throw gods were listening. Carolina goes 23 of 30 at the line, 76.7%. And look, I told you I'd tell you where Zayden High's other points came from. 8 of 8 at the free throw line. I don't mind saying the way this game played out, if Carolina shot from the free throw line like they did against Syracuse last Saturday or against Louisville on Monday, I truly don't think they win this basketball game. Carolina going 23 of getting there 30 times and making 23 of them, 8 from Zayden High. So critical in this basketball game. And part of that is that coming into this game, in those 2 games combined, let me go back and see if I can find the stat, because I got the numbers earlier. Okay, here we go. In the previous 2 games, so Syracuse last Saturday, Louisville last Monday, combined those 2 games, Carolina shot better from the field, 52.7%, than they did at the free throw line, 51.1%. Isn't that insanity? What are we doing? But thankfully, again, Carolina 76.7% today in this game, and that is very, very critical to the win. A couple more points, and then we'll take our break, and then we'll get over to see what you all have to say. One of the other things that I thought Carolina did really well tonight was not settle for threes. I've been saying all season, I think this is a team that needs to live in that 15 to 23 point attempts a night. They were right on it tonight, the perfect amount, 23 point attempts, and they hit 8 of them, 40% on the button. I've said it multiple times. My hope is that each game Carolina can get 35% or better. 40%, cherry on top. 8 of 20 can take that every day of the week, because when you combine that with what Carolina can do in the front court, yeah, absolutely. One of the big issues in the first half that didn't allow Carolina to get a lead was the fact that they just kept turning the ball over. 8 turnovers in the first half. And this is a team that turns it over just over 9 times in a game. And I said at halftime, if Carolina can just hang on to the basketball, they are going to win. And that's what they had 5 more turnovers in the second half, sure. But they only had 1 in the first 13 minutes of the second half as they built the lead out and really held on to it. Carolina got that quick start to the second half. And then did Virginia Tech ever, because in the first half, it was really back and forth. Let's see if Virginia Tech ever they tied it with 13 at 57 all. Zooming through, and Carolina pushed out to double digits, got back down to 5 to 6. No, Virginia Tech never led in the second half. They tied it. It was tied at halftime. They tied it again about 6-7 minutes in, But Carolina never trailed in the second half. That's what they needed to do. And again, so much of that was them hanging on to the ball much better than they had done previously. Another thing that they got obliterated in the first half was points in the paint. I mean, Virginia Tech was just going crazy in the paint. I think Carolina had, I got up to 12. In the second half, though, Carolina had 22 paint points. They still lost the points in the paint battle by a few, but Carolina dominated that in the second half, and that was really critical. Okay, let me say just one more thing looking ahead here to what's beyond us, and then we'll take another break and get to your comments, see what all you guys had to say tonight. And as we do so, let me go ahead and get rid of the box score and go big. Obviously, we got to take another look ahead a little bit. So, as we said earlier, Notre Dame beat North Carolina State today. That actually bumps them down one game back behind Carolina and Clemson in the standings for fifth. Is anybody tied with them right now? NC State 10-6. No, Louisville, who lost to Clemson earlier today, falls to 9-7. And so Carolina right now is a game ahead of State, 2 games ahead of Louisville, and they hold the tie. Oh, great. Okay, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The worst seed Carolina can get in the ACC tournament is 6 because Louisville's 7th, and they have 7 losses. The most losses, if Carolina lost to Clemson and Duke, they'd have 7 losses, but they hold the tiebreaker over Louisville. You see why those matter so much? And next is Cal, who's got 8 losses. Carolina can't get the 8 losses. So, yeah, the worst Carolina can finish is the 6th seed. So that's really encouraging. The other thing is that Duke goes to NC State on Monday night. Let's say Duke wins that game. NC State drops 2 games back of Carolina, but obviously they hold the tiebreaker, meaning if Carolina beats Clemson Tuesday night, they're 1 game up on Clemson with 1 to play, and they would hold the tiebreaker over Clemson, so they can't fall behind Clemson. And at that point, if Carolina beats Clemson and NC State loses to Duke, they'd be 2 games up on NC State with 1 game to play. So the tiebreaker loss to NC State doesn't matter anymore. And at that point, if just those 2 results happen, that's actually not true. Also need Miami to win one of their final 2 games. They are at SMU and then they host somebody. But if those 3 things happen, Carolina is guaranteed a 4. So we just need 3 more results. We need Carolina to beat Clemson or Duke. Heck, let's win them both, right? We need Duke to beat NC State. I know that's a tough one to swallow, but it would be very helpful. And also Carolina needs Miami to win one of their 2, either at SMU or at home to Louisville. And that's no cakewalk. So we'll see what happens there. But if those 3 results happen, Carolina gets a 4. There you go. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're talking about. And it's because Carolina just keeps taking care of business. Now, as I've said, I want to go see what kind of questions, thoughts, observations you guys have on this game. And we'll do that coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about game time, the biggest stretch of the college basketball season is so close. A week from tonight, Carolina plays Duke, and then it's postseason. Man, that is crazy stuff. Bracket busters, buzzer beaters, those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for those moments, man, is bucket list stuff. But it's often hard to get the tickets or annoying because you got long lines, prices jump up on you at checkout, whatever it is. Well, the good news is that the Game Time app is here to take all of that away. Give the advantage back to you, the fans, with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences with just a few taps. Incredibly easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best prices. And what I also love is what you see is what you pay. There are no hidden fees at checkout. It's all built in already, period. I also love the seat view that they have in their Game Changer. So no stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish. Last time I checked, you could get into the Clemson game for $22. I'm guessing it's going to go up a little bit. So hurry and get those tickets now to see Carolina on senior night. Hello, Seth Trimble. Do it right now. And those Duke tickets, no, I mean, it's getting close to $2,000. Go to the Clemson game. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create a code and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, everybody, I'm going over to your comments to see what you got. Our guy Joseph Alexander says, interesting that Kyan Evans is closing. Yes, Joe, I agree with you here. And it was Dixon didn't have an awful night, but he didn't really do much either. And I thought Evans was under control, had some, like, he didn't score a ton. What were Evans's numbers? 5 points, made a 3, really nice 3, and then sunk 2 critical free throws late, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, and a steal. But I just thought he was steady, did well defensively, kept Carolina in what it needed to. And Dixon necessarily what now? Did have 3 assists, no turnovers, only had 2 points, but 3 assists, no turnover. Man, I can live with that every day. But yeah, really interesting that Kyan Evans was out there. Hey, and a great thing. You would love to be able to truly, truly rely on these guys as we get into the end of the regular season and postseason play. And remember last year, this is when Kyan Evans really started to come alive for Colorado State. So that is something to keep an eye on. Luka, not a good game. This is actually Joseph again, and not need him to give us the same effort as he did against Louisville. I thought he gave good effort, Joe, if I can be honest. I thought it was like over effort or misplaced effort at times. Like he was trying too hard and just uncharacteristic of how he's played lately. Made some mistakes defensively, got too far into the basket one time. I feel like he had a couple turnovers, if I'm remembering correctly. Bogavac, 3 rebounds and assists. Yeah, 3 turnovers. He and Jaren had the most on the team, 7 of Carolina's 13 combined. And so, yeah, a tough one for Bogey. But honestly, let's remember, he's played really well in the other 4 games without Caleb Wilson. And thankfully, a bunch of other guys stepped up tonight. And that's the thing in the team. On any given night, somebody's not going to be playing at their best, but hopefully the other guys are. And that's what they did tonight. And that was really encouraging. There was a couple people mentioning things about like, man, here we go again, making it too close at the end. And yes, but also I think that was less about Carolina mistakes and more just about, again, Virginia Tech fighting for their life, scratching and clawing for everything. And Carolina did what they needed to do at the free throw line. And, just Virginia Tech is a talented team. Man, Lawal is good. Avdalas is really good, right? I've been talking about him all season. I really like him. And so they've got dudes that are going to be a challenge. And Carolina, again, lived up to it. That's really encouraging. Gosh, I'm looking at these comments before I see who it is. Joseph Alexander again. I apologize that we keep going back to Joe, but here we go. Says this team doesn't have the margin of error that some great UNC teams have had. That's very true. But if they commit to 40 minutes of tough defense, they can beat anyone. And I think this is correct. Offense aside, whatever the offense is going to do, but when the defense locks in, that's the difference in this team that's won 9 of 11 or the team that lost 3 of 4 at SMU and out in California, is because they were getting beat defensively bad. And there were a couple misses tonight. I remember Hansberry having a wide open wing 3 at one point on bad communication. But for the most part, just Virginia Tech knocking down shots. And so that's been the difference. And so, again, regardless of the offense, man, if they can lock in, they have to. Because, again, as Joe says, that margin of error. And it's funny, Derek Tyson, literally the next comment, talks about the exact same thing. And so we'll see how it goes. Really interesting with that. Man, Derek comes back to say, I breathe out with this because I agree here. I get emotional just thinking it's Seth Trimble's last game at home, one of my favorite Tar Heels ever. And I hope you got, like I say it every season at this time of year, man, appreciate it before it's gone. Over the last 2 games, Seth has scored 50 points. He's averaged 25 a game each of the last 2 games. I cannot wait for senior night. Like, I know Clemson is a good team, decent team. They've had their struggles before they beat Louisville at home today. Actually, probably would have been more beneficial for us if Louisville had won from a standing standpoint, but whatever. Man, I'm with you. The emotion is there thinking about Seth in his last moments. coming up on Tuesday night. The Nintendo asks, let's firm this up. State loses and we win on Tuesday and we get the double bye, right? Okay, let me lay this out. I wonder if I could share my screen of the ACC standings. Stand by. Let's see if we can do this really quick here. Screen share. Here we go. All right. Hopefully you all will be able to see this on the YouTube side of things. And I don't know that it's coming up. Apologies if it's not. I don't think it is. No, here we go. Okay, now the standings are up. Let me zoom in on it so you can see the top of this thing better. There we go. Okay, we got what we need there. So right now, Duke is obviously, they've got it. They beat Virginia today, and they're 2 games up on Virginia with 2 to go. So they've clinched at least a share of the ACC, but the 1 seed in the tournament. Carolina, I mean, if Virginia lost their last 2 games and Carolina won their last 2 games, they would get that seed over Virginia since they hold the tiebreaker. That's great. But what we need to look at is the 4 seed stuff. So Nintendo asks, if State loses Monday to Duke and Carolina beats Clemson, we get the double bye, right? Potentially not, and here's the only reason why. If Miami loses their last 2 games, putting them at 12-6, and so that would be losing at SMU, which is no gimme, and losing at home to Louisville, also no gimme. So let's say Carolina's 12, or that Miami's 12-6. Let's say Carolina splits Clemson and Duke and is 12-6. And let's say that NC State wins their last 2, or that Clemson gets to 12-6, maybe loses to Carolina and wins their last game. There are some weird tie-breaking scenarios further down that could offset it. So really, yes, these 2 results, a State loss and a Carolina win, and a Miami win as well. That does it. Need Miami to win one of those 2. Now it's still, even with, if Miami lost both of the other 2, it would take a bunch of other weird and random stuff to happen, but it is mathematically possible for Carolina to not get the double bye with a State loss and a Carolina win. But that essentially does it. So Nintendo, does that make sense? I hope so. There you go. All right. Let's pop right back in with this thing here. All right, back to the comments. Let's see if we need to get anything else. No, you know what? That's good. It's time to get out of here, right? Yeah, we've done enough. We've done the Lord's work here. We'll be back Monday to unpack more of this. We'll have the shady stat of the game. Might as well throw the glasses on now, right? Shady stat. Let's go. We'll have the weekend whip around from everything else that's been happening in Carolina athletics. Do not forget Carolina Duke on the women's side tomorrow. Critically important game. Make sure you are there for that. Wonder if should we go live after that? I haven't gone live after a ladies basketball game this year. We'll see about that. I don't know. We'll decide later. We'll see how the day is going. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for being here with me on a Saturday night. Critically important win for Carolina. I don't care if it was by 1 point or 80. They got it, and they sent Virginia Tech back home. Way to be tough. Way to make it happen. Great stuff. Henri Veesaar ties a career high. Seth has another great night. Critical bench production. Really, really good stuff all over the place. Great job, Tar Heels. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed on your favorite audio podcast platform, do it now so you don't miss any of Locked on Tar Heels. If you haven't joined our Everydayers Club or the Locked on Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you in there. Great place to be. Great place to hang out with a bunch of other Tar Heels as well. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Yes, we'll talk again soon, but until then, peace.